A female Navy SEAL. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard all year. Did she learn that on a video game? The classroom erupted in cruel laughter, sharp, sudden, and merciless. It wasn't just laughter, it was a firing squad of teenage mockery aimed squarely at one quiet girl standing at the front of the room. Mr. Harrison, the history teacher whose ego far outweighed his wisdom, smirked with satisfaction. He had landed his punchline. Maya Rostova stood perfectly still. She didn't flinch. She didn't blush. Behind her, the slide on the projector showed a grainy image of a figure in combat gear, face hidden, stance firm. Her hands rested on the lectern, calm and steady. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was control. But in the principal's office, retired Army Colonel Thompson saw everything through the live feed monitor. His morning coffee sat forgotten. His brow didn't furrow at the laughing students, it furrowed at the teacher. He recognized Maya's stance instantly. The way she balanced her weight. The straight spine. The discipline. He'd seen it before, on the front lines, not in a classroom. He knew exactly what was coming. Mr. Harrison basked in the moment. "Thank you for that work of fiction, Maya," he said, waving her off. "Let's move on to someone with a real career. Maybe your father's an accountant or an IT specialist, something believable." The laughter rippled again, cruel and hollow. Maya nodded once, not in agreement, but acknowledgement. She walked back to her seat, quiet and unbroken. Her stillness wasn't defeat, it was the quiet before a storm. The room shifted. Students glanced around nervously. Somehow, her silence carried more power than the teacher's mockery. Then, the door opened. Not with a bang, but with a deliberate, quiet click. A woman stepped in. Not tall, not flashy, wearing jeans, boots, and a gray t-shirt. Her dark hair pulled into a tight ponytail. No medals. No uniform. Just presence. The air changed. The room fell silent as if gravity itself had thickened. Every student, even Mr. Harrison, felt it. Her pale blue eyes scanned the room, calm, assessing, cutting through arrogance like glass through paper. She didn't look at Maya. Her gaze fixed straight on Mr. Harrison. Behind her stood two men, large, silent, and still as stone. They didn't need to speak. Their posture said enough. Can I help you?" Harrison stammered. Before the woman could answer, another voice filled the room. "I believe she's here to help you, Mr. Harrison." Principal Thompson entered from the back door, his tone sharp and controlled. "Commander Rostova," he said, addressing the woman with absolute respect. "My sincerest apologies for the interruption to your day. Perhaps you'd like to speak to the class." The title, Commander, detonated in the air. Every eye in the room widened. Mr. Harrison turned ghost white. Rostova. Maya Rostova. The realization hit like a missile. He hadn't mocked a student's imagination. He'd mocked the daughter of a Navy SEAL, not just any, but one of the few to ever complete the Special Warfare Development Group pipeline. Commander Eva Rostova. The principal continued, his voice steady, meant for the students, but directed at Harrison. For most of history, battlefields were said to belong to men. But real history is written by those whose courage didn't wait for permission. Commander Rostova was one of the first to serve where few believed women could. Her service record is sealed, but her legacy speaks for itself, through every life she saved, and every soldier who returned home because of her leadership. Thompson turned to Eva and gave a slow, respectful nod, soldier to soldier. She returned it, sharp and silent. The classroom stayed frozen in stunned reverence. By lunchtime, the story had spread across the school. The quiet girl who'd been mocked had become the daughter of a legend. The same students who laughed now looked at her with awe. The football players who jeered were silent when she walked by. The girls whispered her mother's name with respect. Commander Rostova didn't stay to see it. She gave Maya one nod, the kind that says everything words can't, and walked out, her two silent escorts fading behind her. Her job was done. Her message delivered. Not with anger. Not with words. With presence. The next day, Mr. Harrison stood before his class, trembling. His voice, once loud and smug, now small and unsteady. "Before we begin," he said softly, "I need to make an apology. Yesterday, I failed, as a teacher and as a person. I made a judgment out of ignorance and arrogance. Maya. I'm deeply sorry. You and your family deserve respect that I didn't give." From then on, his lessons changed. He spoke less about dates and battles, more about the people behind them. The unsung, the disciplined, the quiet. And every year, when new students filled his room, he told one story first. About a quiet girl. About a cruel joke. And about the day Commander Eva Rostova walked in. It became legend, a living reminder whispered in hallways. Be a Rostova. It meant, be better than you look. Be calmer than you feel. Let your actions speak louder than words. Maya carried that legacy, not as her mother's shadow, but as her own quiet strength. She understood now what her mother had taught her all her life, that true strength doesn't shout, that respect isn't demanded, and that the greatest warriors are often the quietest in the room. Because sometimes, silence isn't weakness. It's authority. For more stories where quiet strength triumphs over arrogance and courage speaks without words, subscribe to The Final Watch.